Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk to you guys about defense penetration. It's something that has been kind of a mystery to the game community for a really long time, and it kind of still is a mystery. Of course, Netmarble has never released anything specifically detailing what defense penetration does, what it is. But the short version of this is that defense penetration does exactly what you think it does. It ignores or it penetrates the target's defense. And the short version on whether it's useful or not is yes, it is useful, and it's becoming more useful as new game modes are introduced, and I'll talk about what that means a little bit later on. I do also want to say at the start of the video, guys, I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Boredom and Eli, or Elil. Or sorry, no, it's Eli. Fuck me. Eli1323. Sorry, I fucked up your name, bro. Eli1323 and Boredom. They're two guys on Reddit, or girls, I don't know. Fucking, they're two Smurfs on Reddit who did a lot of work unpacking in their own way what defense penetration does. So without you guys, the community would be a lot dumber, and I would not be able to make this video coherently. But I'll try my best to fuck it up, guys. Don't worry. So I did want to thank you guys for that. And in the description, I'll link the links. I'll link the links. Fuck off. I'll put the links in the description for their individual Reddit posts. So what am I talking about here? Right under critical damage, as you can see on the character's detail page, you're going to see this stat called ignore defense. That's dodge ignore. That's what that is. Or sorry, not dodge ignore. Holy cow. That's defense penetration. I don't know why they called defense penetration ignore defense here, and they didn't just stick with the name. Maybe it would look bad stylistically because all of the other things are like about, you know, that many 15 letters or whatever, and then defense penetration would be like fucking 40 letters or something. I don't know, and they'd have to shrink the font. It doesn't matter. Aesthetically, it fits there. So ignore defense, that's what it is. What does ignore defense do? Well, again, as per the calculations, as per the testing that those guys mentioned, or that I mentioned of those guys that they did, defense penetration will ignore a part or a portion or a percent of the target's defense when calculating damage. So, you know, in fucking Neanderthal terms, defense penetration equals, higher defense penetration equals more damage. More dips, more dots. More dots on all times, stop dots. And that's really cool. That's really great. But there has always been a mystery surrounding whether ignore defense, which is defense penetration, whether it was actually useful or not. Because we didn't know, we didn't know how much defense penetration was adding on as a percentage. So, you know, is 100 defense penetration equal to 1%, or is it 1,000? Because that makes a really big difference. But also, it makes a difference as to how much more damage you're really doing. Because if you don't roll, for example, if you don't roll defense penetration on this part of your gear, you could roll crit rate or crit damage, like the crit multiplier. Both of those are proven as really good ways of increasing your DPS. Similarly, on your cards, maybe you want a card that has defense penetration like this. That's more valuable now, especially with the stats and the information that we're getting on defense penetration. So now you're hearing a lot more people talk about it. When they talk about cards, they're like, okay, get your all attack up, get the physical and the energy attack up, get the skill cooldown up, and then get the defense penetration up. So why are they saying that? Well, from the calculations and stuff, it seems that, well, it is true that all enemies have a defense stat. And now what happens is somewhere in the calculations, your defense penetration is kind of checked against their defense, and then a number comes out of that formula. I'm not even going to try to get into the math, guys. This is like, it's honestly, I feel like I'm Neo before he got the powers, trying to read that like green matrix shit. It's just not happening, okay? But basically, if an idiot like me can kind of understand it, I'm sure I can kind of make you dumbasses understand it too. So yeah, the number that comes out of the defense penetration check then gets then, you know, affects, bumps up, multiplies, whatever, your damage in the end. And what it means is that there's a couple of things that it means. One, some defense penetration is better than none. Okay. Two, The higher level characters that we will see as enemies, I'm talking about both AI opponents and player controlled opponents. So let's talk first about the AI opponents. What I meant by defense penetration is more useful now. Well, we have this thing called World Boss. We don't know the levels of these characters because they're not displayed, but my guess is that their level is at least 60 in the game's code, if not higher, like 80 or 90. So those kinds of huge bosses, of course, as well, the Frost Beast, once you get to the last stage, like the 700,000 HP, that character also has a level. We don't know what the Frost Beast's level is, but it has to have one in order for like the equations that include level to make sense, to function. As well, we just got another one in Shadowland. I'm sure this level 25 or floor 25 Daredevil is not level 25. He's probably, again, above level 60, probably where like Thanos is, or maybe even Infinity Thanos, because he has, you know, like 3 million HP. So, the more end game content that we get is, and also the world boss, the double rifts for world boss that we're gonna hopefully get back soon. Netmarble, why the fuck is that not here? And the co-op ones that we're probably gonna get soon for the locked blue button. Those will all have very high level opponents. And so it appears that defense penetration is more effective if the opponent's level is higher versus lower. So it makes sense. If you have a bunch of like small, low-level minions, they're not going to have a high defense, so your defense penetration rating is not going to matter. It's not going to matter for your damage. But if the character is crazy high level, has a crazy amount of native defense, then it would make sense that the more defense penetration you have, the more damage you can pull out. Just as a reference, guys, I know it's on our side of things, but if you look, most of the world bosses have really high physical and energy defense, and they also have really high resistances. Like Thanos has native of 50 on all his resistances. The resistances is different. That's not related to defense penetration, so to speak. But you know, we can see that, or we can kind of try to infer that if it's that way on our end, what we're seeing from the character and their defense, the defense stats, then it's probably similarly coded or similarly enforced on the other end for other characters. So yeah, they're the higher level opponents we have, the more defense they have, the more valuable defense penetration will be. The second thing is against player-controlled characters. So I'm talking about modes like, you know, timeline battle, timeline battle, battle world, any modes where you're attacking against player-controlled characters. Of course, you guys all be level 60, but as you guys know, there are characters now who have like increased defenses, whether they have it as a passive buff, like an all defense increase, or whether they have super armor. So for example, when he gets hit, I believe Venom has a super armor applied to him. I mean, Venom is not the best example, of course, because he still sucks, but as we can see here in his uniform, he's got the super armor all defense. 5% is pretty low, but he's still got it. As well, I know Bucky, he has super armor on one of his, maybe on his passive, or I don't know, he has it somewhere, I can't fucking remember. Anyways, he's got it somewhere. There we go, super armor on cover fire. And most notably, this is the one that I wanted to talk about the most, Sharon fucking Rogers. So yes, she does have high defenses. Yes, she also has in her passive super armor 30%. That's a lot. That's really high. And guys, judging by how popular Sharon Rogers is, that's a really important thing, especially if you're facing a lot of them in Timeline, you're facing a lot of them in Battle World. You know, if you're using Ant-Man to clear out their Sharon Rogers, or you're using Silk, it would be worth it, valuable to try and get a defense penetration obelisk on them, or you know, to roll defense penetration on their gear to bump that up, specifically against Sharon Rogers. As well, we know that her tier 2 gives her even more defense. So Sharon Rogers is probably not the last of these characters that we're going to see that has that native super armor and stuff built in. So it makes, in PvP modes, it makes defense penetration even more important. So that being said, you know, what can you do to get defense penetration? Well, as I talked about earlier in another video, once your character, if you check on the details page, once your character has enough cooldown reduction, so see my Thor has way too much cooldown reduction. He's got 40%, and then he's also getting 14 from the Alliance. So he's way over the cap of 50. I need to go and change this now. And, you know, there are some arguments to make for going for crit rate or crit damage. But from everything that I've read and everything that I've seen, I honestly think that I'll probably get more consistency in terms of the setup that I have with defense penetration. If you have a lot of crit and crit damage, like crit chance and crit damage on your cards, then you may want to consider going that route. But for me personally, I think this is probably going to be a better bet for me. And I think it's also going to be better because we're likely to see more game modes where we have very high level bosses. You know, they could be level like 100. Like, you know, obviously it's like a modified level. And also like Villain Siege, for example, we do actually see the levels of the villains there. Oh fuck, we only see like one of the villains levels. Yeah, even that one is not revealed to us. But in the sense of in the case of Shadow of fucking Villain Siege, we could probably test that out with defense penetration given the character's level, our level of course, but usually like we're assuming that you're all level 60, and then of course the opponent's level. And here's what I'm talking about here. It says that his level is 27, his level is I believe 57, and then this one is fucking question mark. So that's probably where it's like, you know, 80 or something like that. But anyways, guys, how can you get defense penetration? Well, of course you can get it on your character by doing that and rolling the 4th stat differently. Defense penetration is also possible to get as an obelisk. Now please keep in mind when you're upgrading your obelisks, it's very rare, it's much rarer to find a defense penetration obelisk. So what I do is I go through all my obelisks like this until I find one that has defense penetration. Maybe I haven't done it in a long time. Holy shit, I have so many of these. I really need to upgrade these at some point. But, do I have... I don't think I have any defense penetration. Wow. This is like 2 or 3 days worth of special missions. And I don't have any... So they're very rare, guys. So what you want to do is don't use them as upgrade material. You just have to single them out, the ones that are defense penetration. Obviously, you have to basically do this, which is time consuming, but and then you just upgrade them so that you won't like upgrade them to 3 stars or whatever, so you won't lose them when you're doing like auto upgrades or whatever. I am not gonna find one. Holy cow! Look at this. This is like a graveyard. All right, whatever. I don't have any. I do have some that have already been upgraded. I've got this one, I've got this one, and I've got that one. So I've got 3. But I've gotten 3 in about like 2 weeks worth, or maybe 3 weeks worth of looking for them. So they're very rare, but they are worth it. I think I have one more on Ebony Maw. They are worth it. Yes, I do. That's a really good obelisk, actually. They are really worth it, and we can see, especially in high-level play from the Alliance tournaments, that a lot of those characters, like his Secret Avengers and stuff like that, a lot of those players put defense penetration obelisks on their characters. So it's definitely worth it to invest in. And of course, the easiest way to get it, aside from the 4th gear reroll, is on your cards. So look for cards. I'm not saying to prioritize cards that have defense penetration as a native stat. Don't go that far. But if you roll it as a secondary stat, like for example, this one's my 5th stat, you should consider it, you know, not as good as all attack or skill cooldown, but a lot better than the other ones, and maybe you'll think about not re-rolling that card and keeping it because it has defense penetration. So I hope that this video and this talk has been helpful to you guys, made it a little bit clearer what defense penetration is. I can't really go into the details of all the math and stuff. First of all, because my brain has a limited capacity, and I just, you know, it's like trying to ram a floppy disk into a CD drive. That shit just not gonna work, dog. You know, take a bathroom break. But also it's just way too much. Like it's a huge wall of text. So I do invite you guys, if you're curious and you want a more in-depth explanation of the math behind it, specifically the math, to check out the description and the links there. I'm just telling you guys how it applies to you in the game, what you should do, the changes you should make. and the things you should look for to look out for in the future. So hopefully this has been helpful to you guys, and of course, as always, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.